Right, hello, good morning. So finally, after almost a week, I'm back to normal, which feels great. And I got a kind shout out yesterday from Evis, um, which like acknowledgement is a very powerful thing, and it's funny how kind of easy it is to give acknowledgement, but how often it's not being used, and it's rarely used timely. Like acknowledgement often comes in like very organized process. Like you have your session with your manager, and then now I'm gonna tell you some good things, and then I'm gonna tell you some bad things, and then I'm gonna tell you some good things. It's like very expected, but like unexpected acknowledgement is the best. Anyways, and we had some issues yesterday that was very confusing, and it was because we introduced template tags, and we were using a template tag to create templates, and we don't support that now. It's very complex. Everything that's happening with all the clusters, how we deploy to the different clusters, how we have template tags pointing to different sandboxes on different clusters. And today we're also going to add aliases on top of that again. It's just a lot that needs to compute in my brain to make good decisions. So I basically made a mistake there. And then there was another issue where we were using a temporary hack because we're making a change to our scheduler. And the way that was implemented during the MVP phase wasn't clear to me. So I removed something that we had to put back. But putting that back with the scale we're at now, which is like we're scaling like crazy, this URL here was just getting overloaded and started giving errors. So we had to fix that. So now we're in a good position. And the last thing we're gonna put in here is that this restart, let's see, restart. This can actually error, but we don't really care. So we believe there is a race condition. So we just want to have like yeah, the thing is the restart is actually two different things. So I think we're going to implement that actually inside not here, but in the actual sandboxes restart, because we're doing a shutdown. So if that fails, we want to try the shutdown again. Let's see. Let's see. It's the start that's kind of that has to work, but the shutdown doesn't necessarily have to work. Or sorry, we can retry it if it fails. So we're gonna create like a timeout thingy here. I think we can just vibe code this. Yeah. So I want to write something here. Let's do a new one. So I want to retry the shutdown 3 times with a short timeout if it fails. Do we want to? No, because the start should be. Well, I wonder where the race condition is. Is it between the shutdown and the start? Or is the issue isolated? I did see an error on shutdown. Okay, so I want to retry the shutdown 3 times with a short timeout. If it fails, I want the same for the start of the VM. Yeah. Yeah, but it's a good day today. It's really nice weather here in Trondheim. And yeah, I'm playing SnowRunner. Now I got into a place in SnowRunner I've never been before. Like, never been that far ahead. Just hauling cargo, enjoying it. SnowRunner is awesome. Oh, you did it quite literally. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I really dislike it's such a bad indication if it's working or not, or yeah, if it's actually doing a job or not. I really dislike this. I would prefer to have like a really clear, like a fucking animated border or something. I guess it's a limitation to what VS Code can. No, this is probably a web view. Yeah, but something more of an indication. Because I never pick up when it's actually done. Like, you have this big red button here. That should be an indication. But yeah, I don't pick up on it. Okay. Okay, what did you actually do here? I think we can probably... We don't have to wait a second. We should generalize this. We should make it a utility. Oh, we have sleep here. You know what? I think I should implement this myself. Well, wait. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. So we can do await sleep. But you don't have to sleep. Yeah, exactly. If attempt break? Why does it break? That's a weird thing to put in there. Why does it say? Oh, yeah, this is a weird thing. Why does it do this? Attempt await sleep. Oh, if attempt is more early equals throw new error. Could not shut down sandbox. Yeah, this is what I want. So if the attempt equals, well, it starts at 1 and then, oh, that's what it did. Wait a minute. Attempt 1. Oh, I see what it did now. Okay, yeah, it's explicitly testing. Yeah, I would have implemented this differently, I think. Hello, good morning. Yeah, I would do like a while attempt equals 1. Can I do this? Oh, you can't do this. Interesting. Okay. Well, I wouldn't even do that. I would do attempt 1. Yeah. This is what I would do. Why does it break? I find that to be really weird. Oh yeah, it breaks out of here. It needs break because maybe that's what it tried to do, and then it used break. Yeah, whatever. Let's just use what it created. That was fine. But we should rather throw the error instead of... Yeah, we should use sleep and we should throw the error. Oh, it breaks out of the loop. That's why it's doing that. Okay, fine. And then we just do throw new error. Don't need this. Oh, and here it did it differently. Okay. Oh my god. That's weird. So it tries once, it tries twice, it tries... Yeah, what the fuck? No, it's just... I got confused by this code. We don't need to break or anything. So if attempt equals 3, we're gonna throw new error. Well, we're gonna throw this thing. Yeah, because this is on the... of course. So if we're on attempt 3, which means it's called this the third time and it failed, we're gonna throw an error. Or we're just gonna wait. Yeah, weird. Yeah, but this can also be null assertion. Why don't we just return? There we go. And then if attempt equals 3, we're gonna throw an error, or we're gonna wait 500 milliseconds. Okay, this makes more sense. Yeah, so we're gonna attempt shut down 3 times. If we've tried 3 times, we're gonna throw an error, or we sleep for 500 milliseconds to try again. I don't think we even need to wait that long. But this doesn't happen often, so that's fine. Failed to start VM after 3. Okay. Okay, let's try this. So I want to create some projects by using HTML, CSS, and JS. What do you mean by type of projects? You mean what you want to build using HTML, CSS, and JS, or how do you build something with HTML, CSS, and JS? Okay, so that's the... Oh, yeah, let's jump over here. Yeah, and then there was an issue with the playground. Let's go and check that out. What's this? Oh. Whoa. How amazing is this? No. Oh, that's too good. Let's see. Example playground. It says that it's broken. Oh, I think this is rather. Yeah, I think this is just a sandbox. Let's see. Where are you, James? Local storage and remove. Or just wait a long time. I can update to show the state of the sandbox. Yeah, so this is just because I haven't visited the playground for a while, so it's discarded the snapshot. So it needs to start a VM from scratch, which is it is probably on EU cluster. Which is struggling. Yeah, and we're also having some issues on our EU cluster. Like everyone's using US now. Yeah, but I'm just gonna remove just to verify that it actually works. Create sandbox. Yeah, it's still working. Cool. That's fixed. Yes. So what we're gonna do? This is also. Draft are really confusing with ID. Yeah, so we're gonna add the workspace ID to the actual session. Let's see, session, not workspace ID, but workspace path. Let's see, create. So we're gonna have get workspace path, return. Yeah, the workspace path. That was an easy fix. Yeah. Yeah, I need to ask more about this. I did try to ask. Confusing with ID tag and alias for ID. Yeah, but this is more of a bigger thing. Let's see. Add docs on workspace path on session. Yeah. Build config tier privacy. Template should always be private. Oh yeah, fix create token. Yeah, missing ID, nested Git repos. Okay, so I think what we're gonna do now, we're gonna try to draft a release because we need to figure out a way to communicate everything that's happening to our users. It's just too much happening to notify on Slack. So we're gonna use GitHub releases for this so people can watch the repository and keep up to date there. But not all releases are gonna be SDK releases because we have a lot of components behind it. But that's where you kind of get your updates. So what we're gonna do now, I'm waiting for, yeah, we're gonna explore, well, I'm waiting for a change in the infra to actually start testing the Git stuff. But yeah, so, but we need to explore one thing related to that, and then oh yeah, let's see, docs, document, Git cloning, document Git changes, and then yeah, we're gonna see if we can get to a point today where we can try the new Git flow. That would be amazing. But in the meantime, we can implement aliases. Yes, and then it's this thing. Can we turn off the previous service worker? Okay, what should we do first? What should we do first? I think we're gonna try the draft the release thing. I'm curious about that. So releases, draft new release. So that's, yeah, so this would be infra. Yeah, I think we're gonna call it infra. And then we're in 2025, which month? 6. And today it's 3rd. Well, I don't want to call it specifically infra. Well, I think that's fine. As CodeSandbox is scaling up SDK usage, we are usage and use cases. We are adjusting the following. Our scheduler, our host's proxy now only performs a redirect on HTML requests. That means WebSockets and other requests will not. Yeah, this is the thing I'm curious about. Like, are we redirecting? No. Let's see. Let's look at the code because I'm not actually sure how this works. So the way we actually validate. No, because we do redirect to is HTML request. preview info. What's preview info? Okay, that if it's not okay. Yeah, this is get preview info. Get preview info. If user is not allowed. And this is what I don't understand. So we have a preview info, and if you don't have access to it, oh, this is the actual. Oh, this is the actual CodeSandbox sign in. Ah, but we don't really want that for the SDK. This is very interesting. So that means, okay, so if it's a valid token, it's gonna work, or you're gonna be redirected. Okay, this is interesting. Yeah, invalid preview token. Okay, cool. No, this is fine. Yeah. No, yeah, this is gonna work. Only performs a redirect. That means WebSockets and other requests will not redirect, but get a proper JSON error. Okay, so there's two redirects that's been going on here. Our host proxy now only performs a redirect on, oh my God. That means WebSockets and other requests will not redirect to remove, the preview token query. Will never redirect to remove the preview token query, and will not redirect to CSP sign in if invalid token. Okay. So that's one thing. The host token. Well, means WebSockets and other requests will never redirect. When validating host tokens. Another will never redirect to remove the preview token query, and will not redirect to CSP sign-in if invalid token. Okay. Concerning private sandboxes. Our host, yes. So that's one thing. And then with SDK, we met an issue with a scheduler endpoint, which got overflowed. That should be a word. Overloaded with requests. Which overloaded with requests. This is a fix is now deployed to production, making template builds reliable again to all 4 clusters. Are there other things we're doing? Okay, that's it. Coming up, are working on 2.0 release, which has some smaller fixes, but also bigger changes, which will decouple the Node SDK from picture client and picture common. Our internal SDK. This makes it originally designed for the browser. This makes it smaller and increases compatibility with edge environments. With edge environments. A new approach to managing Git credentials to support all Git providers, all common Git providers. Okay, so that's a draft. Save draft. Okay, nice. We did that, and then let's go in. I'm just gonna see if I'm getting any responses here yet. No. Okay, so let's draft a release. Git access to, yeah, let's take a look at that Git access token thing. Symlink for shell Git token environment. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna ask it again. How does the Git credentials helper work? Pluggable Git uses fetch, store, and erase authentication data when communicate with remote. Choosing a helper. Oh, interesting. Oh. Yeah, Git credentials. Can I configure Git credentials for a shell session? So if I, for example, have the credentials stored in a file, can I, during the shell session, point to that file? Because what I'm thinking is that when we create the session, we're going to write the credentials to this private directory. And then whenever we create a shell and you have like a custom session with Git, we're going to point the credential helper to that place. So you can point it to any store file or any just for the shell session, or even just for one command. Not per command. Yes, so we can git config parameters. This is the thing we want to do. Yeah, so we are going to add like an environment variable to every shell session. That's going to be this. And that should work. Okay, we're just waiting for, we have a flag that's going to turn off this remote helper. But we have to wait. I'm waiting for a colleague to fix that. But then we're gonna do this. We're gonna write these files. What about the git config? Is there a similar n variable for the git config? That will be interesting. Because then we don't have to, we can just write the files. We don't do the symlink thing. Oh. Okay, we're going to try that as well. So we're going to use we're going to write the two files when we create a session in your private directory, and then we're going to use these environment variables when you create shells. That's going to point you to the correct, given that you actually have Git credentials. Okay, this is going to be exciting. But we can't do that yet. Well, we could actually implement it. No, let's do the alias stuff instead. Yeah, there was feedback that like it's confusing that you can use the template tag as an ID, and also you can use an alias as an ID, but I'm not sure about that. Like it is confusing that you can't use a template tag to create a template, but that's more how we do forking. Yeah, I think we should revisit this when we actually have the proper scheduler in place. Share with Nico the project and get going. Oh yeah, I did that. Could we allow changing the workspace path? Yeah, we can actually do that. Okay, let's first take a quick look at this service worker thing. So, morning, Mark. So in the let's see if we have it here. So in we don't need to do this anymore. So in CodeSandbox applications, we have something called the preview protocol that runs as a script inside any host you open in a browser. And it has something called HTTP patch. And this is, well, a thing that actually, let's see. Yeah, this is a thing that actually proxies localhost requests to the actual thingy. But there is a user that doesn't want this. They want to control, but I don't understand how they can control it. Well, maybe they do it by simply, yeah, I guess they're using relative URLs. So they never use the full host. Yeah, anyways, they want to turn this off and they can't do it manually. They want to control if this proxy is active or not. So this proxy basically, so typically when you run dev processes and stuff, it uses localhost, right? It exposes it on localhost, and then there's a chance that in the output, there's a reference to localhost. So it tries to connect to maybe, for example, a Vite dev server has a WebSocket connection in the browser, and that WebSocket connection actually points to localhost. Because that's how it works locally, right? But we don't run, even though the dev server runs on localhost inside the VM, it's not exposed on localhost when you consume it. It's exposed on this like host URL to the VM. So the way we handle that is that we have a service worker running in the preview, and that service worker basically proxies localhost requests from the browser to the actual host URL, to the VM, so that that's completely transparent and you don't have to think about it. But then there is a customer of the SDK that doesn't want this. I can't remember exactly why. Let's see. Proxy. I'm gonna read that thread again. Ugh, where was that? No, I can't find it there. Okay, I really need to... Again, like, the search in Slack is also horrible. Like, Slack is such... Like, it's not a... I don't like it. It's not a good product. Slack is not a good product. And I think it's... and I think they're like... It's so old, and they've just been building on top, and try to tweak performance out of it. Instead of just, okay, no, let's just build Slack from scratch, like UI-wise, and make it good. Like, just the text editor of Slack is horrible compared to other services. Yeah, so I don't think... the thing I don't remember, I'm trying to find the conversation, is how the proxy actually makes it a problem for them. But yeah, they definitely don't need... they don't need a proxy. I think they're just using relative URLs or something. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're right about that. There was a moment when... I'm not sure what happened to Slack, but something happened for sure. But it's like when you see these other solutions like Discord, I think Discord is the best example. Like, Discord is a huge ass platform, and their UI is incredibly snappy, and their editor, text editor, is amazing. Like, even they have proper code highlighting. Like, why doesn't Slack have code highlighting? It's insane. Anyways, let's see. Let me find this conversation. Oh, I think it was James that was... Yes, here it is. Is it possible to disable the loading of blah 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 service worker that is in... Yeah, it is hijacking some requests during development. User providing... We do not really have control to set. You know what? I think I'm gonna ask a bit more. Hi, Adam. So finally got a chance to focus on this. Well, I shouldn't say that. Hi, Adam. Could you explain why the proxy causes issues? It is designed to proxy local hosts to the actual VM public host. It should not interfere with anything other than that. We could probably add like a query that turns it off. So HTTPS sandbox 3000 csp.app disable service worker or something. But yeah, very curious. Curious what the problem it causes. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, I dropped out a bit here. Discord happened. They lost their way and tried to compete. Yeah, it's... Yeah, because Discord is more like a... the way I understand it, it's more like a gaming community kind of thing, or like that's the main audience. But I also see it being used in programming. But yeah, they definitely didn't embrace the enterprise part. Hello, Simon. Back to, can you just pass an endpoint? Can just pass an endpoint. Well, yeah, so to give some more, hi, Luke. No, this is not Next.js. We're working on the CodeSandbox SDK. The CodeSandbox SDK. Yeah, so the way the proxy works is when you hit a host, like when you hit the sandbox exposing a host, and it's coming from a browser, like it's an HTML request, we inject a script, a JavaScript script that does a few different things. It enables the preview API, for example, but it also has this service worker that intercepts all requests coming from the browser and checks if there's a local host in the host. And if there's a local host on the host, it changes that local host into the actual host of the VM. So from what I understand the user, I've asked them now if they can give some more details on what's actually failing, because this should be a completely transparent proxy. Like it should only change out the local host with the actual VM host, and nothing else should be interfered there. So I'm not sure what the problem is, but they say that they literally want to not have the service worker running at all. And that means we need to have a query, I think. Yeah, so maybe they have their own service worker. That's a good suggestion. But still, this service worker is like, it's just running, like just passing the request through and just changing the host if it's a local host. But yeah, it's weird. But maybe it's doing something. I didn't implement this, so maybe it does other things that I'm not aware of. Oh, we can also do it on runtime. That's interesting. And let's see what it actually does. Where is the thing? Remove item. Service worker. Oh, yeah. I guess it's like, oh, there it is, service worker. Oh yeah, if it's running on localhost. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Is it taking all requests? Oh, that's interesting. It doesn't need to do that. It only needs to do it if there's an actual rewrite of the URL. Oh, do we actually check? Oh, if no new URL, return. Okay. Let's see how it actually it identifies the host name. Current host name. VMIP. Yeah. Yeah, but conceptually, the way I understand this is just, it literally just checks if the actual host name of the URL is localhost. And if it is localhost, it just replaces it with the host name, which you always want. Because you can't reach anything on localhost. Yeah, but it's not like a pattern match. It's like literally checking the URL host name. So the host name is actually localhost. Because you have this URL object in JavaScript, and that's like, that is the, that represents the actual URL parts. Yeah, but if you have a host that's localhost, you can't reach anything. Oh, unless they're actually running a local service on the computer. Yeah, maybe they're doing that. I actually built that once. That was actually my first project. Was a switchboard. We built a switchboard and it had a local server to sync Outlook contacts. Oh, that's a long time ago. That's many years ago. Yeah, but that makes a lot of sense. Like if there's an actual local host they want to reach, this is a problem. Yeah, but what we can do here is to be able to turn this off. Like there's basically two ways to do it. We can make a change here where we check the URL. So if there's a query, kind of like what we're doing here, CSP local proxy enable, this is done by localhost, and we also have a way to do it by looking at window, enable localhost proxy, but we can also, and that's flipping it during runtime, but we can also have a query. So if you have a query in the URL that says like CSP enable localhost proxy false, then we don't activate it. That's the simplest solution to this. Because then it's just up to our users to add that query when they open the, but the question is how they use the URL. Like one thing is if it's like an editor with an iframe, then they can like control that URL. But maybe they're like using these URLs differently. Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting idea. Like I guess we need to verify the actual use case here to be certain, but that's definitely an approach as well. Like we check the headers of the request, and there's a special header that makes the proxy ignore the request. That's also possible. And that's also a simple fix because we just changed the proxy itself. Okay, but this is great. So we have two suggestions. We could use a query which just turns off the whole service worker. But there's questions there about how the URL is actually used. Is this like a shareable URL? And is there a chance that query gets lost, which means that it starts suddenly breaking when you share that URL? That's a problem. Or would it be possible in the actual executing code on that URL to pass a header on those localhost requests to bypass the proxy, which is safer? It will always work. But it depends on, are they actually willing to like have special code in their runtime for making those localhost requests, which I assume is okay. So yeah, I like your idea better, Mark. But yeah, let's verify with the user first. I'm gonna add that suggestion, by the way. We can also allow you to pass a special header on your requests, which bypasses the proxy. This would be the safest way to do it. Like, we can also like, yeah, but that would be weird. Like at a workspace level, like the whole customer, all the sandboxes the user of the SDK has doesn't use a proxy. So it's like a workspace configuration. Like we call it workspace. It's basically the customer dashboard where they turn off the proxy for all their sandboxes. That's also possible, but that requires a lot more implementation, and it's maybe unlikely that they want that. And it wouldn't make sense to configure it per sandbox. Well, I guess that's also an option. Like when you create the sandbox, you could like have a configuration of like turn off proxy. But again, it requires a lot more implementation. Like the API has to change, the proxy has to change. This script has to change. There are also alternatives of configuring this on your workspace or on sandbox creation, but that requires a lot more implementation from our side. Okay, but this is great. We have really good feedback on this now. So I think we should just jump to the next thing, which is the alias stuff. Let's see. So we are here with our decoupling. Yeah. Next. So now we're gonna work on aliases. So I believe my dear new colleague Fernando. Yeah, I'm gonna ask my teammates if it's okay. I reference them by name. I would assume that's fine. But I really like these people, so it's nice to be able to talk about them. I'm gonna add. By the way, Sana, is it okay I reference you good people by name on the stream? I like you and want to talk. Okay, reference you good people by name on the stream. It is just nice to talk about the people I work with and what we are building together. Okay. Yes. So we have this thing called npm run build open API staging. And I think we have some new stuff here now, which should be the alias. So the idea here is we have, at the low level, we have something called a sandbox, which has an ID. And then we have a template tag. And a template tag points to multiple sandboxes. A sandbox ID in each of our clusters, which are like 4 clusters now. I actually heard there's an ambition of scaling to 1,000 clusters, which is kind of insane, especially now that we're like really feeling the friction of scaling up and having issues that we need to resolve for just like 4 clusters. And like having that many clusters is kind of crazy. Okay, let's see. What were we doing? Yes, let's see. So there should be an alias in here now. Yeah, here we have alias. Where's the... Wait, alias? Is this... Wait, let me just check what we actually got here. So what did he say? Oh, sandbox. You can fork it. Oh, there we have /VM8. Oh, we don't have it? Oh, was it removed? Wait, VM. Wait, don't we have alias? No, we don't have it here. That sucks. What's the... Is VM alias on stream now? Trying to download the open API spec from stream, but not seeing it there. It might be that we deployed something else in the meantime. Let me see. But anyways, we can start building it anyway. So what we're gonna do is in our CLI commands build, we're gonna add a new option. So that option is, let's see, alias. Alias that should point to the created template tag. Yeah, but we did see some alias references here, right? What was the change? Oh, yeah, running responses. That's the only thing. And then we have something down here. Oh, where's that? What's that? Oh, do we see it here? It's such a small window that... Where is it? Oh, there it is. But yeah, running. Okay, yeah, that was just the running stuff. Okay, anyways, alias that should point to the created template tag. So the point is that, yeah, so when we currently build templates, those templates are referenced by a template tag, which points to the underlying sandbox IDs on the different clusters. But now we're gonna have something called an alias. And an alias is basically a static reference to a template tag. So what you can do now is that you can put this alias as an ID for your template when you create a sandbox, but you can change the underlying template tag to that alias. So you kind of have this static reference in your code when you're creating sandboxes. But as you build your templates and update them, you point that alias to a new template tag, to the latest template tag, for example. But you can do whatever you want for this. You can have like beta aliases and whatever you want. And we decided to do this by example latest. The point is that we're going to use the folder name of the template as the name of the alias. So an alias is like name at tag. That's an alias. So you have to provide a name and you have to provide a tag, which is confusing because we already have template tags. So we don't really call it a tag. Naming, we have so many overloaded terms. It's crazy. But anyways, the name is going to be by default taken from the folder where you build the template from. So you can just pass in like the actual latest, for example, or beta or whatever. Or full name, my template at beta. Alias name defaults to template directory. Yeah, let's write that. Yeah. Yeah. The problem is, I think we're kind of in this. So for example, I did one big change before we did the public release of the SDK, and that was to change preview tokens into host tokens. Because in some contexts, you might think of a preview as being the host, like a specific host pointing to like a dev server. That's like the preview of your app. But then we also have the actual preview as an iframe, which is really the preview. Well, depending on how you define preview. Anyways, we have been using preview. Preview is such a generic term. Like clone is, well, clone is more specific, but still has multiple meanings. But preview is like the worst kind of term you can use because you can use it for so many different things. But we dodged that bullet at least. So we have hosts and we have host tokens because it's not really related to like seeing a preview of anything. It's accessing a host on your private sandbox. But anyways, yeah. But we had the same thing here for snapshots. Like this was actually not called templates. This was called snapshots. So we had templates and we had snapshots. But snapshots are technically a file, like a memory disk file. Like the actual thing that you wake up your VM with, that's the snapshot. So that was also dodging a bullet. Like we're actually calling it templates. So a template is something you build. So this is like the template builder. And even though you technically produce a snapshot at the end of this, that's like a technical thing. So we're not even using the term snapshot anymore. You're creating a template. And that template has a template tag. Yeah, I don't think we even need to call it a tag. Yeah, we can still just call it a template ID to avoid overloading the term tag. Like technically we call it a tag because it's different from an ID. Because the thing is you can create a sandbox from another sandbox with a specific ID. But you can also create a sandbox from an actual template, which is this thing. Well, you could also say the template, like, you can also say that single sandbox ID is the template for this new sandbox. But the whole reason for template tags is that technically we need that concept to be able to point to multiple clusters. Oh, we already have used workspace. So workspace for us is technically called a team in the API. But workspace is the actual dashboard you go to, and there you have all your sandboxes, you configure your API keys and everything. That's what we call your workspace. Yeah. But like we're not in a position where we can make big changes to naming. It's gonna cause a like, what do you call it? Not a waterfall, but it's gonna bring up a huge discussion. We have to change the whole infra, like many different components, and I know that there are many things we should have named differently, especially in retrospect. But we're just not in a position to bring up the whole team and discuss that. Like that's the thing that takes the most time, because it's so subjective naming things, because you have all these different perspectives. So taking the time to do that discussion and finding like common ground on naming something is a good thing if you're in an environment where you can do that. Yeah, but I think the best we can do here, Mark, is just be like very conscious about how we're naming things now, at least, so we don't expose unnecessary technical terms that we need inside our API and our infra to be able to differentiate things. Yeah, keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, exactly. So I think even though I use the term template tag, I don't think we should expose that at all, because template tag doesn't matter to our users. They are building a template and they get a reference to that template that they're going to use on an ID property when they create a new sandbox. And even though that represents like a template tag technically for us to be able to choose the sandbox for the right cluster, for them it's just a template ID. And an alias is just yeah. Yeah, alias. It's a weird term. Because what you would call it in so for example in npm you're publishing packages, and there they call it tags. Like the thing I'm describing here is what they call tags. So this is the actual tag. But the thing is that we don't have, unlike npm where you actually have a package name that you publish, we don't publish names for the templates. The templates are just an ID. So you're not like publishing something that's named, and the ID changes every time, right? So there's no consistent like name of a template across the versions of the template, unlike in a package manager type of thing. So what we do is that we have an alias for a template where there's a part name and part tag. So you can say, so you can like have my template, but you can change then from latest, beta, RC, whatever you want. Yeah, to the created template. Do we have tag in here? No, we just have technically tag, right? Yeah. And then, but we do say template. Oh, template created. Okay, so we only have, yeah, we don't use tag. That's good. We never actually exposed the term tag for templates. Template created, and then we're gonna, okay, we can just implement this and then we can review it. Cool. Okay, so if, so that would be at the far end here, actually. So here we create a tag, and then we would do if, oh, we need to type it. Alias string, and we agreed on how this is actually going to look. So if we have an alias, we're going to create, yeah, I think this is actually going to, oh, how is that going to work? Because it's a dynamic URL. How does that work? I guess we'll figure it out. That's fine. And then, yeah, we're going to return from that, and we're going to say console log updated. Let's see. Alias. Yeah, and we have to, let's see, updated to, oh, we can do process exit. Oh, look at that. But we have to actually build the proper alias here. So what we're going to do is alias, we're going to have a utility that's going to implement the parsing of this. Looks like we just have utilities here. Create alias. And what we need is directory string, directory name, and we need, yeah, let's call it alias name. It's not completely this, but we're gonna start here. Let's see. Oh. Create alias. Yeah, so are we getting, yes, so we have the directory and then argv.alias. And then alias here. Oh, what happened? And then what we have to do is, yeah, we want the actual directory name. So I think we can use, actually, let's call this directory and then directory name. Yes, we're going to use path base name. And then, let's see. So we need to do a couple of more validations here. We need to validate the actual, yeah, so we need another, okay. Okay, we're gonna move some stuff. If alias. And then what we're gonna do is move this way up because we want to throw an error if you put in like a bad alias name at the very beginning. So if, let's call it let alias is a string or undefined. Well, I guess, can we do this? No, you have to say undefined, right? Yeah. And then if argv.alias, we're gonna actually create alias, and this is gonna throw an error if it's an invalid alias. So let's just ask it to, can I add this? No. Please validate that directory name is no more than 64 characters. Also, it should only be upper, lower case letters, numbers, or dashes, underscores. Let's see what it comes up with. Yeah. Look at that. And we want to do the same thing for the make the same check for the alias name. The same length and yeah, the same check for the alias name. I guess that's fine. Oh, but this is interesting because there is a scenario here where you actually pass in the full alias name. Okay, so we shouldn't call this directory name. We should call it name, and then this can be, yeah, that's directory. That's fine. But we're gonna alias name includes. We're gonna say alias name. Well, this is also a thing. Oh, there's so many checks. What if you have multiple? But this name here doesn't matter if you have the name inside the alias name. Oh, come on. Check if alias name is in the format of name at tag. Well, this isn't the right way. Use a regexp. Fuck. Alias parts. It's more than 2. We're gonna throw near is invalid. Okay, so that's fine. So now we have, yeah, so name is alias parts. Dot length equals 2. Then it's that one, or it's the base name. Yes. This is how it needs to be. Wow, that was a surprising amount of logic. Redeclare? Are we redeclaring? Where? Oh, look at that. Wait. Alias name or tag is too long, must be, okay, fine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this, now it starts looking like, okay. So we're gonna create an alias on directory and alias name. Yeah, let's just call this alias. So first we're gonna check, are you passing in with a, I can't remember the name of this thing. And if you have multiple of these, we're gonna throw an error. It's invalid, must be in the format of name. I don't like this implicitness of us allowing you defaulting to the folder name. For fuck's sake. It's just hard to explain it. No, but I think that's fine. Like if you're using this, then this is fine. Cool. So we're checking that. And then if we actually have this format, which is a length of 2, we're going to say the name is the first part or the name is the base name of the directory. And then the tag is the, if it's length 2, it's the second part or it's the actual passed in alias. And then we're going to check the length of them. And then we're going to check if they only contain letters, numbers, dashes, or underscores. Oh, we did another. Oh, look at this. Oh, okay. And then we're going to return the actual tag thingy. Okay, great. And then, yeah, and then we have the actual alias here updated to that thing. Okay, but this is fine. Now we're just waiting for Okay, I just asked. Yeah, so I got. Well, I started using Fernando. He's wondering about my revenue share program. So Sanna and Fernando, they are Elixir developers. So Sanna has been with CodeSandbox for a long time. Fernando just joined us at Together, but he's working on CodeSandbox stuff. So they are awesome people. Okay, so it's not actually on stream. That's why we're not getting the endpoints. Let's see, it would be nice. Let's see if Sanna can deploy the branch to stream and then we can test it. That would be nice. So I've not gotten any reports back on the Git remote helper. Nice, nice, thanks. Okay, we're getting a redeploy so we can actually test this. Yeah, so to kind of look through our day. By the way, I'm gonna share. Where is? The release thing. Let's see. Yeah, so what I hope that we can work on. Yeah, we're getting the alias stuff in. I would really love to work on the Git stuff. It would be so nice to get that out of the way so that we're kind of in a position where we have an actual SDK release ready. So we're gonna test this now, and then I'm gonna eat some lunch, deliver some cargo in SnowRunner, and then I'm gonna kind of wait to get some response on the infra side so we can play around with the Git stuff. And when we have that Git stuff running, we're gonna wrap up like a release for the SDK. And yeah, and then I think we're gonna work on the CLI. Continue working on the CLI, because that is a high priority. Yeah, another thing we can actually add here is to manually change the we need to add that as well. We need another command, which is to kind of look at what the current, what was it? What was that? So you can, I can't remember if we actually have this yet. Yeah, no, we don't have that yet. So you should be able to take a look at what template tag, or sorry, what template ID are we actually pointing to for the current alias. And you should be able to like just update it. You don't have to build again to update it to something else. You should be able to just update it to an existing ID. Maybe. Well, we don't really need that in this release. It's enough to do this for now. I think, yeah. Yeah, that's the plan. Okay, Let's see if something pops up here. Is it here now? Was it VM alias? No, not yet. It could take 5 minutes. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah, maybe we can write, you know what we're gonna do while we wait? We're gonna go to TL draw. And we're gonna draw what this CLI is gonna do. So you have to be able to, I'm just gonna write it down quickly first. You have to be able to, I don't think it makes sense to list sandboxes. Because there's like, the typical SDK user has like thousands of sandboxes. It makes absolutely no sense. But what we can do is poll running sandboxes. So at any moment in time, we have an endpoint for polling running sandboxes. So we always have that data. But we're not going to actually display the list of running sandboxes. We're just going to use that. So when you do point to a specific sandbox, we can show you the running state of it. And we don't have an endpoint for checking the run state of a specific sandbox. So that's going to be a thing. Yeah, and then you can configure. So you're going to have a menu and you can configure host tokens, configure preview hosts. Yeah, open sandbox. So there's going to be an input there to insert like the ID of a sandbox. You can open it. And then underneath that, oh, can't I? Yeah, something like this. Oh, look at that. You should be able to restart, shut down, start. And we really want you to be able to, well, show run state. You should also be able to SSH into the sandbox from the CLI, but we don't have that feature ready yet, but that's coming. What else do we want? Yeah, show URL. We could also like show ports, show tasks. And ability to restart. Yeah, I think this is a really good overview of it. Like this is a good first version. I really need to do like let's see if we like a feature request of the CLI. Let me just ask. Let's see, I think it's here now. There we have it. Fantastic. I'm just going to ask a question. What are the pressing features you want for the interactive? Okay, cool. Let's see if we can get this thing running then. What's the name of it? VM assign tag alias. Oh, so it's path namespace. There it's called namespace. Yeah, but let's at least call it. Okay, interesting. Tag alias namespace. For fuck's sake. Okay, let's review that. So this would be. Oh, so it's actually split up here. Okay, so alias is create alias. We don't do this. We actually return it as namespace and alias. Let's rename this. Names. Can I use namespace or is that taken? No, it's not a thing. Yeah, so this needs to be. So this would be alias, oops, an alias namespace. Oh yeah, alias at alias. Oh, sorry, that will be namespace. Updated. And then let's take another look at the thingy. I should point there. Alias namespace defaults to template directory. Oh. But you can explicitly pass. Yeah, namespace at alias. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. How are we going to test this? So we have a test template here. Let me just flip my env so that we use stream. Oops. And how do we... Didn't we have a way to use stream? I think there's like a process and... isn't there... API client, base URL. Yeah, base URL. Where is that coming from? Yeah, base URL. Okay, so if we do npm run build, so if we do dist bin CodeSandbox build / template test template, what do we call it? Base URL https api.codesandbox.stream. Okay, so let's first see if it works to just build it. Oh, there's something wrong here. Oh, can it be undefined? That should be possible. So this throws. Oh, doesn't it actually? Oh, interesting. Oh, TypeScript doesn't actually understand this. Of course it doesn't. Okay. So we actually have to do this. Ah, this sucks. For fuck's sake. Okay, now I'm starting to see why it did this. What is the actual start? If no start response. Okay. And then we should do the same here. Yeah, that's why it did it. Dag nagget. Did restart. False. Oh yeah. Okay. The AI did what I really wanted to do. Let's see. So we get that stuff in there. Oh, now I have to, let's just do npm run build. Kill terminal. Okay, let's see if it can run this. Oh, that didn't go too well. Invalid token. Oh, source.n. Yeah, and I think we're gonna call it yeah, no, I think that's fine. We don't have to change that. Oh my god, that took a long time. Our stream environment is like, I suppose most stream environments or staging environments are not like 100% stable. Ooh. I'm gonna buy myself a frozen pizza today. Yeah, I'm gonna watch. There's a new series called Murderbot, I think, on Apple TV. Okay, cool. Template created. And now we're gonna do alias. Latest. Maybe I should have logged something here. But yeah. We just have to see if it kind of works, and then we're gonna deploy the endpoints and we're gonna let users test this. So I have a thing about, so I don't prefer working alone on the SDK because there's a lot of decisions that needs to be made. So I'm really happy to do the stream because I get input, but currently I'm like the sole responsible person for this SDK. That's going to change. We're increasing the team, but I don't like working like that, especially because I'm also, because I'm the one implementing it, I'm the one making all the decisions, and I'm also the one that's responsible for testing it. And the thing is that you get bad testing because I want it to work, right? So I'm in a bad mental state to do the actual testing. So it's never good to work on something alone. Never. Alias test template latest updated to. Nice. I was a little bit weird with the quotes there. Alias test template latest updated to. This is pretty cool. So it didn't. Yeah, exactly. Bias was the thing. The word I was looking for. We're so biased. Yeah, and even though like it's so funny because if you're two people working on the same thing, it takes longer, right? But the reason it takes longer is because you actually discuss decisions and you make better decisions as a result of it, and you share ownership in that decision. So it's like if you look at the process in a bubble, it seems inefficient to be two people working on the same thing. Because it takes longer to make decisions, it takes longer to test it. Everything just takes longer. But the benefit is, like, as I say, you actually make better decisions, you do better testing, you have shared ownership, so you can do support after the thing is shipped. There's so many benefits. So it's like an investment, but it's a difficult balance because some things you could probably just do on your own. And that speed is actually worth it, depending on the context of the company. Yeah, it's very interesting. I have this like discussion many times with Evis, one of the founders of CodeSandbox, because he's like he's just a force of nature in terms of implementing things, make things work, create MVPs, just being super responsive to users and building a product that way. And that was a huge, and I think that's the mentality you have to have as a startup, or it's just going to take too long. You're going to spend too much time making decisions, like testing features that might change next week, stuff like that. But at some point that needs to flip. And that's why I like the dynamics I've had with Evis, is because he's just been running in front of me, kind of doing all of this stuff, and then I kind of follow him. So there's one thing is like working in complete parallel, but there's also a different way of working, which is one of you is running ahead. Just make the thing work, explore, maybe make some bad decisions, get it out to users, test it. And then you have the other engineer tagging, like running behind, and then evaluating everything, not blocking any releases and testing or anything, but just running behind, cleaning things up as you get input from users, bug reports, stuff like that. The second engineer kind of goes in and deals with that, and then asks the first engineer, like, what was your thinking process here, and so on and so on. So that's been a very interesting dynamic, which I have a lot of fun with. I like being that second engineer running after Evis. But it depends on the context, right? I really enjoy working in complete parallel with an engineer as well. And I think that's a better way to work, but you have to be exceptionally confident about what you're building, which you can be at a certain point in an organization. But as a startup, I think that more often slows you down too much. Even though you make the right decisions for what you're trying to implement, you're doing a better implementation. You don't know if the implementation is the right thing to implement, because you have to get feedback from users to know that. And the only way to to know that is to get the thing out to the users. Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. Yeah, maybe I should write an article about that. Because I've never really talked to anyone about that dynamic I have with Evis. And I think it's a very efficient way of, in that startup phase, of not just kind of just running along and just building and building and building, being that first engineer, just building and building and building. You have that second engineer running after, cleaning things up and try to make things scalable as you learn. Anyways, I think we're good with this. Like the endpoint didn't throw an error. That's fine. We didn't really test that we could use the tag, but I don't really care about that at this moment. Add tags, add aliases. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna eat some food. I'm gonna deliver some cargo on SnowRunner, and then I'm gonna bump my colleagues about the Git thing so we can actually test that. And then if we don't get a response on that, we can continue working on the CLI. Oh, VM usage. To access web. Oh. So currently I can only implement things like start, restart, shut down. Sandbox, see the running state of a sandbox. Manage host tokens, manage preview, preview host. I do not think we expose VM usage anywhere. Webhook for failure to start sandboxes. So both VM usage and webhook for failure to start sandbox would be API implementations. It can be accessed by API. And foremost, the SSH access, I need help from Georgie to implement. But I can work on like a general interactive CLI to open a sandbox, see its running state, etc. Restarting tasks, even stuff like that. And then as on and Georgie has time, we can look at SSH and usage for next sprint, maybe. Cool. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, we're just discussing this interactive CLI, what it should have, and people like one thing we probably going to work on next is usage, so that our customers can actually track the usage on these VMs, which is kind of important for monetization. But you're not gonna, that's probably going to be exposed on the webhook, or will be exposed on the webhook. So that's unrelated to the CLI, really. Yeah, it would be fun to implement SSH access, but I need help with that. Yeah, but I'm asking if we should just have like a general interactive CLI to like actually open a sandbox and do some, basically what we drew up. That's good to have regardless. And then these features we're discussing here can be for the next sprint. Yeah, let's see what they say. But yeah, I'm gonna have lunch and then I'll jump back on when we have something to, when I know what we're gonna work on. Cool. Bye for now.